Yo, what's going on, guys? Weebflare here, and do y'all remember the days of old when Sonic used to be a good game? Or at least, good enough until like 2000s. Ah, the good old days. Well, this is going to be a review on Sonic Frontiers. Since I usually don't do reviews, me doing this is something new, so don't take my judgment too harsh. Anyway, in the times that Sonic games used to be good, some of my favorites were the Sonic Adventure Final Boss, the Sonic Adventure 2 Final Boss, Sonic Unleashed Final Boss, and Sonic 06, even though it really wasn't that polished, but it still turned out good. Other than that, the gameplay could have been better there. Moving on to Sonic Frontiers.
You are the key.
I'm here, reaching for across these new frontiers.
When the game first came out, I think it was a huge thing. Everybody was so happy that Super Sonic was making a return that we were expecting the best of the best on drop. We got to the first boss, Undefeatable happened, it was amazing. We ran through the next island, hoping to find even more better boss. It was amazing. The night boss, it was amazing. And then we got to the next part, the towers. You're just like, oh, okay, well, sure, a whole nother island for towers. Hopefully this ain't it. We got a cutscene where Sonic got corrupted, and which felt kind of pointless because his friends then rezzed him after that. But after that, we go to this island after the friends help him out and do pretty much the same thing we did on the other islands, collect the Chaos Emeralds, and get to the final boss, which was Supreme. At the time, we were just like, oh, okay, well, hopefully this ain't it. And we were right. We beat Supreme. Then Sage starts to freak out because the entity that was in Supreme went into space. Well, we're so hyped for what's about to come. We all go into space, ready to fight, and it's a 2D shooter. Now, there was a lot of disappointment behind this. The conflict behind it was kind of sad too. But all in all, I think they were leading up to something amazing. In the Update 3 that recently dropped, you were able to play as Amy, Knuckles, and Tails. Now, their skill base was very different from what Sonic's would be. And nobody really told you there was a skill tree. I mean, you kind of had to figure that out on your own. At first, I thought no one could attack. Funny that, right? Anyway, playing through as Amy felt kind of very fun, and Knuckles felt kind of stiff. The gliding was super stiff. Like, I don't know whose idea that was, but that felt weird. And Tails, let's just say Tails was good at getting around, not so much as fighting. But all in all, the story complex of the new update was pretty good too. While Sonic was doing other things, and the three of his friends were actually going around and collecting the Chaos Emeralds and trying to figure out how to get them. Compared to that in the original story on Uranus Island, the Chaos Emeralds were not in the same spot. They were in a completely separate spot. In fact, they were behind the Ancient's tech. So they say. Anyway, meanwhile, while Sonic's doing the trials and his friends are collecting the Chaos Emeralds, he's getting some sort of secret power, while the entity in space, the End, they call it, is growing stronger and causing more disruptions in reality. So we finally get the power to, quote-unquote, get corrupted. I don't know how to say it. And we get back to the final boss, Supreme. It's the same fight. At first I was just like, oh no, don't tell me. Hoping to God it wouldn't be the same ending, and honestly it wasn't. The ending that I was expecting was not what I was expecting. In fact, This was probably the best final boss in a 3D Sonic game we've had in a long time. And honestly, probably one of my favorites. Sonic getting the power, or controlling the corruption in his body, just to fight the entity that took over Supreme. Apparently, Supreme was the vessel to the end before any of this happened, and the end was trying to regain control of Supreme. Anyway, Eggman, Sage, the three friends, and Sonic end up having to fight Supreme. You're controlling the new super-powered Super Sonic, Super Saiyan 2. But all in all, you had to attack the thing on its head. At first, I couldn't figure out what to do. The controls were kind of janky, but now that I've got a clear understanding on how to do it, whenever you attack his head, you need to hit L1 or R1. That wasn't really very clear. But by the time you break that and you get his health all the way down, you're just like, okay, now what do I do? Well, at that point, you need to silute that little hole thing that looks like a gun. It doesn't even look like a gun, but it is the gun on his back. Once you silute that, the gun's going to swing away completely to a different location on the ground. It's going to slam into the ground, and at that point, you can silute the gun, and apparently Eggman will catch it. Now at this point, it's going to create a giant railgun. Cool. That's nice, Eggman. Well, back to the fight. The new controlled Supreme trying to attack against, actually attack the friends, not against anything. Sonic is defending again. It was so cool that I really had no words for it at the time. And then we get to the final step, the final form, where Sonic, it's hard to explain, corruption powered that almost looked like Fleetway in a sense. That was probably the most amazing part. Sadly, we couldn't control any of it, but in the end, it was still good. It wasn't mid like it was beforehand. Anyway, all in all, I think that this was one of the better Sonic games made in a long time, and I would honestly recommend y'all go check it out or play it if you haven't. And even still, even if you don't like it, think about this. All the other Sonic games have been mid, so... except the good ones in the past. But thank you guys so much for watching the review, and y'all go have fun. I got nothing to say. Weeb out.
Travel through the trials and tragedy.